Welcome to F3 on 4 from Donington for the start of the second half of this 14-race season. Now, it's been an eventful year so far, but pre-season favourite Antônio Pizzonia has opened up a useful lead over his nearest rival, Tomas Scheckter. Now, Donington is a double-header like the last time we were here, and maybe like the last time it'll throw up some unusual results. But before we take a look at any of today's action, John Cleland takes a look back at the last race from Brands.
Coming to Brands, Manor Motorsport and Stewart Racing had 2 wins apiece. The others shared by the Carlin duo of Collins and Sato. Collins got his first pole position, made a poor start and then retired after 4 laps due to a hole getting into the radiator. Now, to get a stone in through here and destroy the radiator was real bad luck. Ben's misfortune handed the race to Antônio Pizzonia, who took the lead at the first corner and was never headed after that. His chief rival Tomas Scheckter had a weekend to forget. Trying to make up for lost time in second qualifying, he was penalised for speeding under the yellow flag and had to start in 9th place. So to finish 4th, you'd have to say that was a bit of a result. But what about the penalty? Why so severe?
I don't feel it was harsh. I've been saying at briefings for some time now that we need to address the yellow flag situation, the yellow flag problem. The yellow flags are for the safety of the marshals and the safety of the competitors. And when there is an infringement, as there was at Brands Hatch, quite clearly 2 infringements under yellow flags, I think the penalty was completely appropriate.
So halfway through the season, Pizzonia now has a 19-point lead over Scheckter, with the second Stewart driver, Narain Karthikeyan, in 3rd, ahead of Ben Collins' teammate, Takuma Sato, improving from 7th to 4th. In the scholarship class, Gary Paffett has a perfect record.
Just like Brands Hatch, Donington has got 2 circuits, and for their second visit here, the Formula 3 race is going to take place on the longer Grand Prix track. John Cleland takes us through the differences.
The Grand Prix circuit deviates here at the end of the long straight, where it flicks left and right onto the Melbourne loop. Now, this is a great opportunity for overtaking. You get it right, you slipstream someone down the main straight, and you dive under them in the braking on the entry to the chicane. Now, this makes for great overtaking opportunities. As you exit the chicane, you come over the rise, down into the Foster's hairpin here, or the beer can as we like to call it. There's 2 opportunities for overtaking at this corner. One, on the way in. You can dive down the inside of someone. But if he's cute, he can cover that, and that compromises his exit speed. What happens then is he runs too wide on the exit, and you can nick up the inside of him on the way to Goddard for the next corner. Now, if you haven't overtaken at those 2 corners, your final chance of the lap is the final corner as it joins the old circuit, Goddard's hairpin. And what to do here is you dive down the inside of someone, but that sometimes makes you run a little too deep in the corner, compromises the exit speed. The guy you've tried to pass can nip back in on the inside and get you on the exit to the corner down pit straight.
14 races from 12 weekends means that there are 2 double-headers, and they're both here at Donington. The first race of the second double-header took place yesterday, and Martin Haven's going to take a look at the highlights.
Andrew Kirkcaldy made his mark early on with a stunning 2nd place in qualifying.
We've got a bit of testing in really, and a bit of sleep. Brands Hatch, I was working on the car myself till about 3 o'clock in the morning before the test, so it's a little bit easier when you're a bit focused on the job.
Ahead of him, series leader Antônio Pizzonia, who took his 2nd pole of the season, with Narain Karthikeyan in 3rd, some 6 places ahead of his teammate at Stewart, Tomas Scheckter. If that wasn't difficult enough, Scheckter then collided with someone while weaving to warm his tyres up on the green flag lap and damaged his nose wing. The left section was wedged under his front suspension, but out of Thomas's sight. He could hear something was amiss, but didn't know what. On the team's advice, he took the start, only pitting after the 1st lap, still hoping to get the single point for fastest lap of the race. Meanwhile, rival Pizzonia led from lights to flag, building up a 5-second lead and then holding his position to take his 4th win of the season. Behind him, Karthikeyan led Andrew Kirkcaldy and Jimmy Bruni until the Italian went for the inside at Redgate on lap 6. Kirkcaldy shut the door they touched and the Scot came off worst. ending up back in 13th place. 4 laps later, Karthikeyan locked up at the S's under pressure from Bruni and was then too slow on the run down to the Foster's hairpin. Jimmy had reduced the gap to Narain with apparent ease, and here he took the approved inside line and held on through the corner as Narain tried to fight back on the exit, as John Clennon predicted. Narain found himself dropping back to 4th when Takuma Sato unconventionally drove right around the outside of him at Goddard's. It was a good result for the Japanese, who started back in 9th. Bruni then added to Scheckter's misery by taking the points for fastest lap as well. So a no score for the South African as Pizzonia posts his 4th win of the season. He was 5 seconds ahead of Jimmy Bruni, Takuma Sato 3rd, from Karthikeyan in 4th, the Benetton pair 5th and 6th. But what about Bruni's clash with Kirkcaldy that rather spoiled the Scots' afternoon?
Andrew, I don't know. Andrew, it's the second time him closed the door. In the last race in Donington, exactly the same. I don't know why, but him, once they side by side, him closed the door.
As I was coming down to Redgate, Bruni decided to have a bit of a desperate dive up the inside, and I slid on the wet and hit me, and that was it. I mean, there was nowhere for me to go. I don't know where he expected me to go, because if I'd gone left, I was on the wet anyway, so it was a little bit silly, and it spoiled a good race, really.
Gary Paffett easily won the scholarship class, but fought a race-long duel with Matt Davis on his way to 12th overall.
It was a good race. We went well.
But you're scrabbling with the big cars here.
Yeah, so we want to do. They might not like it, but we like it.
So Gary Paffett takes another step closer to wrapping up the scholarship class for the year 2000. Now, the grid for the 9th race was actually decided earlier on today, and Martin Haven's going to give us the details of who was where.
There were a number of questions for the crowd to ponder. Could Andrew Kirkcaldy match his 2nd place for the first race? Could Rowan Racing find some of the speed they'd been seeking all season? And could Gary Paffett clinch the scholarship class at Donington Park? Well, he'd need the cooperation from his rivals, but with the right finishing order behind him, it could be all over. For Jimmy Bruni, a new colour scheme on his Fortec car, matching the new purpose from the Italian.
This chassis is new, completely new painted, new hair. I think all is new. New championship now.
Antonio Pizzonia couldn't match his first pole position with another. On new tyres, he wasn't able to catch Andrew Kirkcaldy. The Scot was on provisional pole after 21 minutes, but eventually had to settle for 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right, I suppose, to be, I mean, 16th here when we first came out, and 7th at Silverstone, 4th Brands, and then up to 2nd here. We can't really complain, so that's pretty good.
The RC Benetton team was really on song, and Nicolas Kiesa took his 2nd pole of the year, but could he avoid stalling this time?
I've had some 8 or 9 starts since, and I haven't stalled, so I think I might be in with a shout this time.
Pizzonia wouldn't have been too unhappy with qualifying 3rd, as Scheckter was struggling to find a good balance and ended up back in 7th, watched by older brother Toby.
Maybe we've got a problem with the brakes and not so much the setup of the car. But, you know, we'll try to sort it out so we're competitive in the race.
And do you think you will be?
Well, I hope so. You know, I have to try my best.
And what do you think this is going to do to your championship?
So what? I don't really care at this time. I just have to focus on how I can go quicker and how I can finish in the points.
So it's a Special K front row. Kiesa 15 thousandths ahead of Kirkcaldy. Pizzonia 3rd, the 2nd Benetton car of Pavlovich next up. On row 3, Sato and Bruni just squeezing out Scheckter. In the scholarship class, Gary Paffett's closest challengers were all floundering. Romano absent, Walker back in 5th.
So, John, what do you think of that race?
Yeah, good race. Again, good points for Pizzonia. Scheckter, for me, he should have come in and had that nose cone change very early on and start from pit lane. Bruni was the star of that race, I think, and just hung on for some very good points.
And a very unfamiliar lineup for the next one.
Yeah, Andrew Kirkcaldy up at the front there with a very, very low budget. Pizzonia's behind him. Scheckter's got a lot of work to do. It'll be interesting to see just exactly what happens there. Scheckter's got to start banking some good points if he wants to hang on in this championship.
Well, you can see how they all get on in a couple of minutes in F3 on 4. Welcome back to F3 on 4. The 9th round of the Green Flag British Formula 3 Championship is about to start, so let's go to join Martin Haven.
Can Nicolas Kiesa get his car off the line? Can Andrew Kirkcaldy get in front and avoid trouble at Redgate? More importantly, the revs rise, the lights are on, they go. The whole field gets away nice and cleanly, riding with Gianmaria Bruni in 6th place. Pavlovich, number 11, weaving ahead of him. Kiesa jinks to the outside. He's passed by Kirkcaldy. Bruni following Kiesa now. There's Pizzonia on the inside as they exit Redgate and start to go down the hill. Pavlovich moves ahead as well. That's Ben Collins who started behind him. Andrew Kirkcaldy leads, Sato in 2nd, then Kiesa. Scheckter behind Bruni, exiting the old hairpin. Bruni runs wide. Scheckter's got a chance to challenge, not through Schwann's curve, though he doesn't. Dab of the brakes from Bruni there as well. Bruni stays in 7th, Scheckter's down to 8th, drops 1 from the grid as Kirkcaldy leads from Sato, the 2 blue cars, Kiesa, Pavlovich. And then, look, defending hard, Pizzonia with Ben Collins right behind him. There's Michael Bentwood, car 7. He's in 11th position, making a move. Jimmy Bruni, his teammate, making a move on Ben Collins for 6th place here. Down the straight he comes. Collins on the inside line. Desperately late on the brakes, and Ben Collins just holds on. They scrabble through there, and Juan Manuel Lopez has hit, I think, Martin O'Connell. He's in the middle of the track. Round he goes, but I think he's got a damaged front suspension. Yes, he certainly has. He won't go very far with the wheels like that. That's the end of his race, and a stop-and-go penalty for number 9, Takuma Sato. That is for a jump start. Bentwood at Goddard's, just ahead of Narain Karthikeyan now. Narain's dropped a place, and he's been challenged by the Renault drivers. And anxious Chris Weller following their progress, or lack of. First of the white cars is Scheckter, under pressure from Bentwood. Karthikeyan under pressure from Matt Davis as well. And that's Atsushi Katsumata in the gravel, the Japanese disgusted with himself. Trouble for the other Japanese as well. He'll have seen that stop-and-go board. The team will have been in touch on the radio. He must stop in the next 3 laps, and that will lose his good track position. So what does Trevor Carlin think?
Ambitious start, I would say. He made a very good start again, like yesterday. And they were watching him. The slightest movement, they're bound to penalise him. So I think it's probably heavy-handed, because I actually went and watched myself, and I saw the green go and he went. So I think it's, you know, but because of yesterday, a close call, they sort of decided that they got away with it.
Well, Sato's 3rd in the left-hand line. Watch him, just a fraction before everybody else he goes. So looks as though the stewards were probably right. But from this angle, let's have a look. Red lights are on. There is Sato highlighted. There's the green, and he moves very quickly, much quicker than everybody else, in fact, but not, I think, before the green light. But how does the human eye pick that up? Riding with Bruni, chasing Collins down the Craner curves, right behind him, lunging down the inside into the old hairpin, but he goes too deep, has to slow down coming out, dust there, don't know who that was. Well, Collins has got away a bit there as Bruni made a stab. New colours, new sponsors, and new haircut. It's an all-new and even more competitive Gianmaria Bruni, really showing strongly this weekend at Donington Park. 2nd in the first race, 7th at the moment, but that must soon become 6th, as the man who's 2nd in the picture here, Takuma Sato, will have to come into the pits. Kirkcaldy leads, Sato 2nd, Kiesa 3rd. The Dane made another poor start, not as bad as the one he made at Croft when he had his first pole of the season. There is his teammate Pavlovich in 4th place. Here is Gary Paffett battling with Warren Carway for 13th place, hanging on to the tail of the Irishman, exiting the S's. They're heading down to the Foster's hairpin. And there is Narain Karthikeyan at the hairpin. Matt Davis behind him, battling for 10th place. And Antonio Pizzonia also struggling a little, it seems. Dropped 2 places down to 5th behind the Benetton pair. What on earth is going on here? So Kirkcaldy leads, and in comes Takuma Sato. Trevor Carlin waiting. Mechanic with the battery in case he stalls. Stop, and immediately he goes, but that'll cost him at least a top 10 position. Bruni now, 6th position, exiting Redgate. Sato out of the pits with Warren Carway, and Carway spins off. Goodness me, outbrakes himself on the gravel, just keeps going. But now the scholarship runners are starting to pass him. Kirkcaldy exits McLean's. Kiesa 2nd, Pavlovich 3rd on the gravel, just holds it together. That will give Pizzonia added incentive to try and make a move. Not quite there. Pavlovich still holding on to 3rd place, but maybe the Brazilian can make it at the end of the straight. Paffett, 13th place, leading the scholarship class. And Kirkcaldy in the S's, leading from Kiesa. There's Pavlovich, there's Pizzonia, closer than ever and looking to make a challenge. Strange to see him so far back, he's normally well out front. Wide entry to Foster's, nobody challenging there. Collins in 5th, Bruni in 6th, 7th place, Scheckter losing his way here. Bentwood behind him in 8th position. Looking again at Sato as he exits the pits. Warren Carway seemingly desperate to keep him back at all costs. Very lucky to stay out of the gravel traps there. Well, the leaders in pairs now, Kirkcaldy and Kiesa, then Pavlovich and Pizzonia almost with him, then Collins and Bruni. Bruni pushing hard again, trying to get himself a podium position, not beyond the bounds of possibility here either after his superb first race. Lap 8, Davis in the pits, and the mechanics emptying the air ducts. He must have been over the grass somewhere, and the temperature is rising as the radiator is blocked with loose cuttings. Kirkcaldy leading a race for the first time all year. A brilliant performance from the Scot and the little Avanti team, but Kiesa clearly hasn't given this one up. He wants the win to go with that pole position. Matt Davis fires it up and off he goes out of the pits. Well, he's going to be stone last, but how did that happen? It was here at the old hairpin. He went off very wide and picked up an awful lot of fresh grass cuttings. Kirkcaldy still leading the race, and he'll be watching his mirrors carefully after that clash with Bruni at Redgate in the previous event. Pavlovich, well, he won't be used to having Pizzonia behind him. Very few people are. Pizzonia normally out front. 5th and 6th, Collins and Bruni. The status quo pretty much set in stone, it seems. Oh, but no, look at this. Bruni powering past Collins. He was definitely slowing there. Wonder if Ben Collins maybe missed a gear or whether it was something more substantial. Let's see if he reappears behind Jimmy Bruni. Yes, he's still right with him, so that was probably just a small driving error, unless he's picked up a little intermittent misfire somewhere. Whatever, Gianmaria Bruni up to 5th place, and that's 2 more points gained for him. Well, Collins is still there, but the engine not sounding very strong, so that may be a problem in the long run. Well, Nicolas Chiesa's brand new Opel Spice engine is sounding superb, just 4 races old, and it really has helped rejuvenate the RC Benetton team, the reigning British Formula Ford champion, and he is challenging hard for this race lead, but Andrew Kirkcaldy won't make it easy. 5 seconds further back, Pavlovich holding off Pizzonia. Won't worry the Brazilian, he's got a big points advantage, he's not going to do anything silly here. Kirkcaldy checks his mirrors at Goddard's, and Kiesa dives down the inside, wheel to wheel, they're banging, they're touching wheels, and this is going to be a straight drag race to Redgate. Kirkcaldy looks over, he's got, not even nose wing ahead, but he's on the inside line. Kirkcaldy, Kiesa, the front row of the grid, heading into the corner, as they did from the start. This time, though, it's Kiesa that takes the advantage. He didn't lead away from the grid, but now he does. The Dane from the Scot. Kiesa, a superb move there, started at Goddard's, finished at Hollywood on the exit as they went down the Craner curves. And now, look at him pull away from Andrew Kirkcaldy, at least half a second advantage now and growing rapidly. Kiesa was clearly the quicker of the two, but just being bottled up behind the Scot. Well, my goodness, he is really pushing hard now. He's got this advantage. He can taste, he can smell, he can feel victory, and he's not going to let it go. Not this time, anyway. There's Benetton's Chechi Rivera. He doesn't want to think about the checkered flag just yet. Ben Collins struggles in to retire. The winner in May, bad luck here. Bruni in 5th place, but can he catch Pizzonia ahead of him? He's faster than the lead group, and there is time, but he's 4 seconds down in these closing stages. Pizzonia more interested in passing Pavlovich for 3rd rather than worrying about Bruni. Right behind, leading Foster's. Will he make a move at Goddard? He thinks about it, he does. He goes very deep indeed under braking. Pavlovich really tried to guard that one. Now he's trying to squirt back out of Goddard's, but it's all done. Pizzonia is in 3rd place. Pizzonia guarding the inside line, but now as they come to Redgate, nearly leaving the door wide open there, and Pavlovich trying to take advantage. Look again, as John Cleland suggested, the tight line going in means you run out wide, and your opponent has a chance to fight back. There, it just didn't work for him. Well, now he's got Gianmaria Bruni right behind him. He's safe at the Foster's hairpin, but what about Goddard's? Is Bruni close enough to have a shot? Pavlovich thinks not, leaves the door wide open. He was right, but Bruni is very close indeed and very fired up. The Yugoslav had better watch his mirrors pretty carefully at the end of the straight here. Pizzonia comfortably clear now. Pavlovich hogging the grass, and the Yugoslav guards the inside. Bruni goes out wide, takes a tight exit. He's side by side. He's got the run into Hollywood. Classic move at Redgate. And that parlays into the position change down the hill. Down the Craner curves, though, he's still got the Yugoslav right in his mirrors. And Pavlovich's gun sights firmly fixed on Bruni into the old hairpin. 9th and 8th, Karthikeyan and Sato. They were 4th and 3rd on Saturday and having a dreadful day on Sunday. Sato was in 2nd, but of course that super quick start really cost him dear. And he's now down, trying to get a point in the top 10. Anxious faces on the Benetton pit wall. Nicolas Kiesa already on his last lap. Can he hold on? Well, it looks as though he certainly will. A mature race from Nicolas Kiesa, the Dane taking a steady start, not risking everything. Picking up 2nd place when Sato pitted, and then a brilliant manoeuvre on Kirkcaldy to take the lead at Redgate. Now he's pulled out nearly 5 seconds on the Scot and will run unchallenged around the last lap. No pressure on him, and the feeling of victory very sweet for him. Tomas Scheckter will want to forget this weekend immediately. 6th place, he falls another 6 points behind, but it's 21 points for Nicolas Kiesa, winning for the first time in the British Formula 3 Championship, and he takes the fastest lap in the process. The understated Italian team celebrate their first victory in Great Britain. The RC Benetton team and Francesco Rivera are over the moon. Back at the final corner, this is Sato locked up down the inside of Karthikeyan. They clash, but Sato gets 9th place, and Amanda is with Francesco Rivera.
Couple of words, tell me how you feel.
I don't know, I am in the sky now, I fly. I don't know, I don't have any word for explain my happy.
So a maiden win for Kiesa, a best ever result for Kirkcaldy in 2nd, and some useful points for the series leader Pizzonia. Gary Paffett again won the scholarship race, but Christian Colombo took 2nd, so Gary is still 2 points shy of the title.
Absolutely incredible. Just couldn't believe once I got a lead, I was able to actually pull away and control the race from then on. Really happy for me and the team, and it's also Opel's first victory in England, so quite happy for them as well.
We've worked so hard all season, and the car's been really good, and we've dominated the class really, and we just carried on doing this weekend, and we've finished it off really well.
In the championship, Pizzonia now has a 45-point lead. Tomas Scheckter will be keen to hang on to 2nd, ahead of Stewart teammate Narain, Karthikeyan and the resurgent Jimmy Bruni. In the scholarship class, Paffett is 103 ahead with 105 left to play for.
So congratulations to Gary Paffett and for Antônio Pizzonia and Nicolas Kiesa for winning the 2 races. The next round of the Power Tour package is at Cross in a couple of weeks' time, and you can see all the action here in F3 on 4.
And there's more rubber burning